Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is going to be another Q&A video. It's Wednesday, so let's get into it. um, basically, every Wednesday, I answer your questions that you leave in the comments below on this video or last week's video, and I will answer those questions, give you a shout out, promote your channel, do all that stuff to kind of build the community and also kind of give you some insights into what I see is going on with the comics in general. And this week, actually, I have a pretty great show for you. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff. I'm going to give you some kind of cool investment ideas, and I'm going to give you some insights into the stuff that I'm buying. So, without further ado, let's get into the questions. This is from Richard Lisura. Lishura. Sorry, I actually brutalize his name every time, so I'm gradually getting to his name correct. Okay, he asks me good questions every time, so I feel like I really should do a better job of saying his name. So Richard Lishura. So I have to agree with you regarding collecting Golden and Silver Age versus modern variant covers. The old comics have a natural scarcity due to the throwaway nature of comics in general. The new stuff are treated as instant collectibles and artificially inflated by dealers and collectors. Time will tell how these appreciate. So I kind of left this is more of a comment than an actual question, but I left this into this Q&A because I really wanted to finish that idea that I kind of brought forth last week where I was talking about variant covers and how there's so many different types of variants. Actually, I missed one kind of a major type of variant, which is the price variant. But with that said, variant covers have sort of become the new catchy thing that people have been collecting in the modern era. And I really do believe that a Golden Age, if you can buy, instead of spending $1,000 on some random variant cover, I'd recommend buying an older Golden Age book or Silver Age. I'd actually say Golden Age. Golden Age books are kind of poised to go up right now. And what's happened is, as the expensive books have been kind of dominating the modern era, people are going to go back in comic history and say, hey, look, why not get that real first appearance of that character, or some cool artist from a Golden Age. And I do see that people are starting to gravitate to those older books because you can buy a Golden Age book for less than some of these modern books. And why wouldn't you buy? It's just it has much more going for it. It's much more scarce. It's much more historically relevant, and it's something which is much more of a solid investment. And that's what people don't get. If you look at these variant covers, what ends up happening is they go up. They go up really crazy. They just, I've seen things where it's like $1,000 for some variant cover. And then once the market goes on to that next variant cover that people are all hype about, then that previous one crashes and burns. It doesn't have, there's just too many of them. And what ends up happening is when the price goes up really, really fast, everyone's like, okay, well, I have that variant because they print like 10,000 of them. And then they go send them off to CGC, try to get that 9.8, and most of them get the 9.8, and then they flood the market, and the market adjusts accordingly. Well, you can't do that with the Golden Age. There just aren't that many out there. So that scarcity really does maintain the price. Whereas with the modern age, the variant covers just, they can't maintain the price because there's just too many of them. So that's what I kind of wanted to finish that idea from last week. So that's why I left this comment in. Next question is from Comic Mag Musings. And I recommend you check out his channel. He has a really great channel. So Comic Mag Musings. So he writes, all right, Captain Canuck. What's your favorite cover in your collection from each of the following artists? Jack Davis, Wally Wood, and Johnny Craig. And are there any from these artists that you're chasing? Okay, so I actually brought a bunch, and this is my kind of cop out because what happened is I don't have that many from those particular artists. Um, like Jack Davis, he did so many great covers. I really like like him as an artist. I just don't have that many. I really sadly don't have that many. The same goes for Wood. I really like his stuff. I do have several of his art. There's one that I'm chasing from Wood that I just got yesterday. Literally bought it from eBay yesterday, and it's in the mail. And that was a Weird Science number 16. Now, if you're not familiar with Weird Science 16, it is the cover where it's like aliens and they're kind of walking forward from their spaceships. And that cover was used for Mars Attacks and all these kind of, it's sort of that typical like alien in like the tube like spacesuit. And it's also used in The Simpsons with Craig and what's the other alien's name? Craig and something. Krang. That's it, Krang. Eidos and Krang, maybe something like that. My son would kill me for not knowing the Simpsons reference. But that cover is just so important in terms of the influence that it had on aliens and what people perceived as aliens coming down and taking over the earth. So I love that cover, and I finally got it in my collection. I actually bid on it like so many times, and I've been chasing that one for a long time, like 20 years kind of level. So I finally got it yesterday. But I'll show you my Jack Davis, Wally Wood, and Johnny Craig books. And as I said, I don't have that many, but I will show them. Okay. And just so you know, for the people that aren't familiar with those three artists, they were pretty involved with EC Comics. And Jack Davis also got involved with MAD, which is EC as well. And Wally Wood, he kind of went on to work for DC. And he was the one that created Power Girl, which I have above me. There's a little alcove where I have Wally Wood's Power Girl. I love Power Girl, so I think he did a great job on her. But I'm going to show you some Wally Wood covers that are in my collection. As I said, Weird Science 16 is my grail for Wally Wood. So here's some Wally Wood. Weird Science number 22. I'm going to... one sec here. I got to kind of go through these. Here's another one. I like these like women in spacesuits. See, as I said, he's kind of famous for that kind of bubble helmet. That's kind of his thing. And you'll notice with Wally Wood, he always kind of has that weird bubble helmet. And this is this is Weird Science number 10. And we got another Wood. This is Weird Science, again with the bubble helmet, and dinosaurs. Can't go wrong with aliens and dinosaurs and all that stuff. So this is Weird Science number 15. And one more is Weird Science 21. So these are all my Wood collection. I really don't have that much from Wally Wood, so it's kind of sad. But my Jack Davis, I actually collected MAD, so I actually have a whole bunch of Jack Davis stuff, but it's in boxes, and it's really hard to get to. So I'm going to show you my EC-related Jack Davis stuff. So here is... oh, yeah, this is Jack Davis. So this is Incredible Science Fiction 31. And then we got... Incredible Science Fiction number 30. And actually, I'm going to show one more. I'm going to show another Jack Davis one, which is actually my favorite Jack Davis cover. But this is my Johnny Craig cover. And this is Vault of Horror. I paid $20 way back in the day. This is a price tag from 30 years ago. So this is Vault of Horror 27. So yeah. So those are my Jack Davis and Johnny Craig. I'm going to show one more. And this is my favorite Jack Davis cover, actually, of all his covers. So I just happen to own it, and it's in crappy shape. But it looks, well, it looks good. It's just the spine is just disintegrated. It's just really rough spine. But it's a really great cover. This one has been used, again, in The Simpsons. There's a Treehouse of Terror, or horror, I should say, Treehouse of Horror cover from the comic, with Marge being the girl here. And so yeah, so this is one of those covers that's been swiped a lot. It's a great cover. I just love it. So you know, got the sexy girl. She's gonna get an axe to the head. You know, it's just really great pre-code horror. So that's my Jack Davis collection, and I do have some of his stuff from Mad, which is kind of limited. But I kind of wanted to show you some of the artists that I really do collect from the Golden Age, and the big one that I collect is Al Felstein. And he also, like, actually I have a big collection of ECs with Al Felstein art. Al Felstein also got involved with EC, like, as they all did, and he later on worked for Mad, which is still EC, but, you know, without the horror. So this is Al Felstein's Good Girl art. And he kind of moved away from it once he kind of joined EC. This is under Fox publication. And I'm actually in the process of trying to get everything that he did during his Fox era. There's not that many comics associated to Al Felstein and Fox. But the ones that were Sonny Jr. and Meet Cloris Archer. And I'm going to show you that as well, which I actually just finished too. So this is Sonny. I believe I forgot what issue that is. But then we got Cloris Archer. And this is Cloris Archer #1. I actually have the complete set of Al Felstein books from Cloris Archer. And these were called headlight covers. So these were actually in The Seduction of the Innocent. So that's why I collected them. I got all 4. There's 4 that were involved. So this is the first, then there's 2 and 3. Number 3 is behind me, right there. But this is the first of that series. So I like these headlight covers. You'll notice the way he draws the women's breasts is kind of interesting. He always has that kind of, the shirt looks like it's like kind of like sucked in, like skin tight almost. So yeah, so then we got My Life. This is not Al Felstein, but this is the other from that Seduction of the Innocent run 4 from Cloris Archer. This is the last, when they renamed the series My Life, True Stories in Pictures. So they renamed the series that after issue number 4. So that was issue number 4. So then we got some juniors, and you can see that distinctive style of Al Felstein. And I'll show you some more juniors. I really like his stuff. And we got one more junior. And then there's a series that he did before he worked for Fox, and it was called Adventures of Homer Chubb. And this is just another one of his Good Girl art covers. So he only did one from this series, and this is a very rare book. I've only seen it ever once, and this is the only copy I've ever seen. So yeah, very rare book. Okay, so that's my look at answering that question. I hope you enjoyed. I tried. I really just don't have that many, which is sad because they are great artists. Um, Next question. Jason Powers wrote, I'd love to see a video about on your top 50 investment buys for the financial collector. Well, I do a lot of videos where I unbox comics, right? And a lot of the stuff that I'm buying, even though it's me trying to pick stuff that I think is cool and that I'm excited about, a lot of it is actually good investment stuff too. So what I always recommend is watch people's unboxing videos and really see what they're buying. Because if they're buying it, then generally they believe in it. You know, there's some belief behind that. But I also want to show you some um, good financial buys. And I'm going to give you two different eras because I kind of want to show you what's good in the golden age to collect and what's good in the modern age. And I want to show you the difference in the way that people think of those two eras. So this is my not top 50, but I'll do a different video later about that, my top 50 investment buys. But I want to show you, this is just purely for the financial element. So you gotta see that that the way you collect golden age for financial versus the way you collect modern is very different, and I'll explain. So I'm going to show you quickly. This one's in really low grade. You would try to get it on a higher grade if you're like if you have some serious money that you want to put behind a book. Definitely get it in a higher grade. But this is even in this low grade, it's quite valuable. It's like $1,000 book in this grade, and it's really rough. It's like it's a 1.5 probably or 2.0. So yeah, so this is Phantom Lady number, I believe it's 14. I'm pretty sure. But it's a great Matt Baker cover, and it's one that's highly sought after by collectors. It's going to be always highly sought after by collectors because it's a headlight cover. It's got a character that people just love, even though she's not like a popular character today. There are companies that have tried to bring her back into comics, like Dynamite has tried to bring her back. But she is a character that is kind of a little bit under the radar, but Golden Age collectors will always be chasing her. And even modern collectors, recently Comic Tom did a mystery mail call. And one of the books that they did like sort of this homage cover was for Betty Page. And it had an homage to Phantom Lady. So it's one of those things that collectors and people within comics will always appreciate. So with Golden Age comics, when you're trying to collect them for that financial, like purely financial way of collecting, you think of it as like a blue chip company. And what I mean by that is you think of them like blue chips. We always use blue chips in terms of comics, but you think of it like as a General Electric or like maybe a Microsoft or IBM, one of these more old established companies that you know isn't really going to go anywhere, or at least you hope not. They usually last a few, maybe 100 years or 200 years. And they're kind of companies that you know that their stock will always go up. Maybe not huge, swings in price, but will generally go up over time. Well, these Golden Age books, you treat that same way, where they will go up. They definitely will go up, but they might not go up huge amounts. Now, what I do see, and this is maybe the right time to be looking at Golden Age, is that there has been a price correction with comics right across the board, except the Golden Age. The Golden Age really hasn't seen that huge shift in the prices that we've seen with the modern comics and the Silver and Bronze Age comics. But as I said earlier in this video, I said, that the Golden Age is really poised to make that jump where they're going to have that price correction. So you can still, as I said, this is probably about $1,000 book. There's other there you can get a higher grade one. I would say try to get as high grade as possible if you're really trying to invest in this particular book. Try to get one that has that really renowned artist like Matt Baker, and get one that that has potential to grow. So this one is a cover that people really seek. There's just a bunch of these that people seek, and they'll pay big money always for them. I'm going to show you some others that are kind of in that similar thing where they haven't quite gotten to the same level as Phantom Lady, but do merit, definitely merit the same attention. And first one is Blonde Phantom. And Blonde Phantom is another character highly sought after by Golden Age collectors. You can get these in higher grade, usually under 2,000. Usually, it's one of those things, they are becoming quite hot. But it's a character that people like. And what you try to do is pick either the sexiest one with the woman kind of like showing a little bit of leg, like this one, and the best kind of like, this is a bondage cover. It'd be better if she was in bondage, but it is kind of that kind of pre-code horror style, even though it's not a horror one, it's a hero one, but it has a lot of elements that people are looking for in the Golden Age collection. So I'd recommend try to get like the higher grade. Above a 6 would be kind of an investment grade. Though if you've watched any of my older videos, I talk about how you can use lower grades as good investments too. They go up just as much, and there's just as much activity, and they're easier to flip. So I actually don't mind buying low grade books as investments. So that's just my caveat to that. I'm going to show you some more. There's this one, Thrilling Comics. This is Alex Schomburg art with Lady Panther on the cover. And this is just a really great cover. Like, it's airbrush cover. You can look for those airbrush covers there. They usually have a little bit of a premium because people really appreciate the style of art. I'm going to try to zoom in a bit so you can see that. This is Thrilling Comics number 64 from 1948. Just a really great Alex Schomburg cover. And not that expensive. Like, we're talking like $500 range. That, as an investment, that's pretty cheap. Another one, and I would look for a higher grade. This is also Alex Schomburg. You'll notice like a lot of stuff where collectors will look for the artist, especially in the Golden Age. So we got Exciting Comics number 66. And it's just a really great cover. Just a great cover. People will seek it. So Thrilling Comics, Exciting Comics. Another one that is a big artist from the Golden Age that people will seek out, and they'll buy anything from this one artist because he's just highly sought after, is this one, Terrifying Tales number 13. This is considered one of his greatest works. It's the devil cover. It's got the woman in bondage on the cover. It's got the sort of the cannibals looking like tribal people in the background. It's got a lot of elements that people are looking for. And it's pre-code horror. Pre-code horror is ultra hot. This book in this grade will go for about 1,000 to maybe 1,200. It's just a highly sought book, and it's L.B. Cole. Now, L.B. Cole, his style is very, very unique. It's got these vibrant colors to them, and people seek his art. So definitely one of these artists that you can sort of try to find other pieces from him. If you're trying to invest, look for his signature pieces. Like, this is a signature piece for him that people recognize. But there are other comics from him through the Terrifying Tales. What other ones? Yeah, he did a bunch of stuff. He also did some romance books, which is kind of interesting. And you can look for those as well. Okay, so those are the Golden Age specs. And you'll notice that when I refer to them, I kind of say, okay, these are key artists, these are key books. But also I said that they're kind of the blue chips. You know, like they're the ones that slowly go up in value. I'm going to show you some modern specs, and this is a very different way of thinking. I'm going to show you. There's a TV series coming out. It just had a trailer, so the prices are kind of spiking. And what happens with the modern age, I'm going to have to take it out of the plastic, is that people will buy books based on something that's popping, something hot that's in the market. So this is like Sandman. This is Sandman #1. It's in a 9.6. I would recommend a 9.6 or higher on this book. If you can get it in that 9.8, great. The reason I actually recommend 9.6 or higher, and there's only 9.8 higher, is a 9.6. Sometimes you can find it if you really look at the book. This is an older label. This is the trick I'm going to teach you. This is an older label. And what you can notice when you look at the photos, this one has no, maybe right there's a spine tick that is color breaking, but barely. It barely breaks color. And that's the only major flaw with this book. And the rest could be pressed out. So sometimes you can buy a 9.6, break it out of the case, and press it. You really have to look at the pictures, though. Make sure that there's no color breaking spine ticks, because it can go the other way. You get it regraded and you end up with a 9.4 and you are out lots. So be really careful doing this. But the advice that I'm recommending is if you buy that 9.6, the potential to go up to 9.8 is there. If you look through the photos and see if maybe it hasn't been pressed, and pressing can get that extra little grade boost. And the price difference between a 9.6 and a 9.8 could be 3 to 4 times. So it can really make a difference in terms of the value. And there's a lot of reasons you want to do that. So this is, as I said, there's a hot series coming out. Neil Gaiman, very famous creator. People want this book because it's the first from that series. Now, the first appearance of the character, Sandman, is actually from 1939, New York's World's Fair, 1939. I've been seeking that book for a long time. I missed out twice on it. But this is definitely something that people are seeking. And this is one of those ones that once the show drops, you sell. You sell it, just get rid of it. I know it sounds bad, but what happens is the price kind of peaks out at that first episode. And if the episode does really well, then the book will kind of continue to go up, but you're probably going to get your max value out of it at that time. Now, what you do, if you really like the book, is when there's the lull between seasons, the books will generally drop again. This is a standard pattern. So the price will go up till that trailer. The trailer drops, the prices really spike. Then the show comes out, episode 1, price goes up again, big boom, because there's excitement, there's talk about it. And this is the way modern books work. It's all about excitement. And what'll happen is the book will really shoot up. That's the time you want to sell. If you wait too long, you miss out on that whole market. And then what ends up happening is, as the show kind of closes at the end of the season, the prices will drop down again. And that's a good time to buy. So you can kind of buy within these cycles where the books will kind of fluctuate in price. Now, you might, even during that down point, it might actually still be higher than when it was originally, when you first sold it. But there's still potential when the second season comes out, then it will generally go up again. So you can keep on, repeating the process and making increments on the investment. So this book might be a little late to be buying because, as I said, the trailer's already dropped. But I'm going to show you some other books from the same show. A lot of the time, what people do, and I don't get it. I really don't get why people think this way. But what happens is people that are collectors will not necessarily do this, but people that are investors will. And what I'm talking about is they buy on the trailer, they, they buy on the day one, they get sucked into it, and they don't realize that they're paying the worst time, so they're getting, paying the worst prices. And then the show comes out, some characters other than the main character appear. And those characters' books all of a sudden become really hot. So I want to recommend that what you do is always look at the cast. Who's in this show? What characters do they play? And that will tell you which books to invest in. So I'm going to show you another book from Sandman that you should consider investing in. And this is, once I get it out, Sandman number 8. I wish I had a higher grade of this. It has just a bunch of spine ticks, and it just brought the grade down. So this is Sandman Master of Dreams number 8. And this is the first appearance of the character that's right there. Her name is Death. She's kind of a major character for Sandman. If you watch the trailer, they're actually trying to summon her, but they get him. So, it's kind of a cool character that is kind of critical for the show. And she will definitely be in the show. And when she appears in the show, she's going to make all of the comics associated to her will go up in value. So already this is pretty pricey book. Even the Sandman number 1 is a pretty pricey book. But it has room to grow because, as I said, once that character appears, then they go up in value. So that is a little bit of advice about how to buy these books. You look at the cast, look at who's going to potentially be in it, learn about your investment. Just like when you're buying into stocks, you learn about the companies that you're buying into. Well, you got to learn, if you're going to be investing, you're buying these books purely for the investment factor, then what you got to do is you have to look at that investment thoroughly. So you know the characters, you know which characters are key to the series. And there's lots of ways to find that out. I recommend going to sites like Comic Vine, and you can type in the book, learn all about all the key characters. And that's a good way to find out, hey, these characters are probably going to be in the series. They might not be casted yet, but they definitely will make an appearance, or they haven't been announced yet, but they definitely will make an appearance. So those characters are the ones that are going to be the ones that really go up in value. So I'm going to show you one more, and this is also from the Sandman series. So this is a little bit of a sub video within this video, where I want to show you one that hasn't yet kind of popped as much. And there's been channels that have talked about this comic, but I kind of wanted to mention it anyways. And that's Sandman 25. Now, this is the Dead Boy Detectives' first appearance. And they are slated to have their own show. So that's what ends up happening with a lot of these shows that people know are going to be great. Like Sandman, Neil Gaiman is, executive producer. He's going to make the show great. It's going to be an awesome show. And the trailer looked awesome. I have really high expectations for that show. They're going to do spin-offs. They're going to do other shows. They've already talked about doing this show, which is the Dead Boy Detectives. This is a cheap book. You can pay under $10. You can also find this in the dollar bin. It's a cheap book. Get this in high grade. Get it slabbed. Get it slabbed. Try to get that 9.8. Make sure you press it and do all the wonderful things that you can do to get that grade boost. Make sure you get really good images when you're buying it, because you want to make sure that it has no defects, and get it slabbed. So when the show comes out, or when that trailer drops, you know that the price is going to go really crazy. A 9.8 will always command pretty high value. Like, you can probably, even at that time, you'll probably still be able to buy this book under $20. But the slab, for whatever reason, will be $100 to $200. It's crazy, actually. You can just buy a raw book that's the same grade get it slabbed, and for, it costs you about $30 to slab it, you can double your money. So definitely look into this book. What generally also happens, and this is another bit of investment advice, is when that show comes out eventually of the Dead Boy Detectives, they not only want that first appearance, they will want the first series from that group of characters. Well, that is this book, another cheap book. This is a $5. This is again, dollar bin, $5 book, and Dead Boy Detectives #1. So really cheap book. You can pick it up, and it's a great spec, really great spec, because generally once that show comes out, people will gravitate to these two books. And sometimes what you can do is, like, if you want to be a little lazy about it, and I sometimes do this, is generally this one, I think it had like 4 or 5 issues. It didn't have, like, it was like a short run. What you can do is buy the whole series. And sometimes you can buy it, it's like, I've seen it where this book is like $6, and then if you want to buy the set, it's like $12. It's not like those other books really add much to the cost. So you can buy the whole set, and sometimes in those later books, other characters will get introduced that will also be characters that will be important to this series. So that's another tip that I recommend, that you always try to get the whole collection. And a lot of the time you'll get those additional characters that also can be valuable. So just as a little tip, if these books are totally in that low price range, not necessarily what I would consider investment grade or investment comics, because generally when I'm looking at investments, I'm looking at that 1,000 plus range, even up to 10,000. And some people, when they're really investing, they're looking at that $100,000 to $200,000 range. So it really depends on what kind of level of investor you are. It depends on how much you have to allocate to these. You have to, again, take what I've said, and sort of adjust it to your budget. So those are some of the ones that I want to show. With all that said, okay, so we're gonna get back to the questions. Those were pretty long answers, but I really wanted to give you guys some insights. Next one is some people collect comic books. Okay, this is from Rocket Fighter #8. Some people collect comic books for the love of them. Some people, some as an investment. Others for both reasons. Whatever the reason, most keep up to date with their current values. What major comic books in your collection have increased in value the most since you purchased them? Which have experienced the largest decrease? I'll leave it up to you to decide what you want, if you want to reveal what you paid for them. Okay, so this is kind of a weird time to be kind of asking this kind of question. And a lot of the books that I've bought have just gone up. It's just right across the board. I bought at the right time for a lot of these things. Even though I'm still buying now, you see like me unboxing a whole bunch of in so many videos. I'm buying things that are just that next book that people haven't quite gone to yet. So I'm always buying a little bit ahead of the curve. So I've been lucky in terms of riding the wave where all my books have generally gone up. There's been a few where they've maintained price, and that would be, I guess, considered a loss because you pay shipping, but that would be the only ones where I kind of maybe lost out. I'm going to show you some of the books that have really, 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 really spiked, and they're actually the ones right behind me. So I bought that Fantastic Four #1. It is restored, but it's a 5.0. I bought it for $5,000. I think it was like 4,500 range, actually. So just below 5,000 even. That book now probably could get about 10 to 15. it's gone up that much. Because it is restored, it's gonna always be a little bit cheaper. I got what's it called? Journey into Mystery. Okay, and the first appearance of Thor. Okay, so Journey into Mystery 83. It has like a slight restoration, very, very slight. I paid $4,000 Canadian, so it's around 3,200, around 3,200 US for that book. It's a 7.0. So that book probably would command about another 10 to 15,000 in that grade, where it's a high grade, but it has restoration. So some of these books have really, really jumped up in price. Pretty much all the ones behind me have jumped up in price. Maybe some of the SOTI books that are at the bottom haven't jumped as much because they're just sort of still under the radar. But they're all ones that I've seen, even those ones going up. A good example of that would be my Reformed Schoolgirl. It's a 2.5. I think I paid like around, it was just under 4,000, just under 4,000. It's probably a $5,000 to $6,000 book now. It's like, it's just that pricey. Maybe it was around 3,000 I paid. Maybe it's around a $4,000 to $5,000 book. But the point is, it's just the prices have just gone up pretty much across the board. And so it's kind of one of those, I feel like I'm cheating when I'm saying that I've done so well on these books, because the prices haven't gone up the way that they normally should. Normally, you can expect like a 5 to 10% return on your investment with comics, but we're seeing historical jumps. We're seeing like, 500%. When do you ever see 500% in an investment like this? It's just not normal. It's just, it is kind of a little bit extreme. Another one that I got that was fairly inexpensive, I believe it's right here. Okay, yeah, it's my Amazing Fantasy number 15. I paid $12,000 for that. And all that is, it's just one little piece that's been cut out, the coupon. It doesn't affect the story. It doesn't impact the book at all, really. But it's a 3.0 qualified. When it's that lower grade, the qualified versus non-qualified doesn't really impact the price as much as people might think. So I paid $12,000 for that. It's probably worth around $20,000 now. So, so again, it's like one of those things where it's just a crazy market. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, it is what it is. Ask me again next year when the prices I do believe there is a correction coming. I think, then I will do maybe a video where I kind of go through them. I do have an Excel spreadsheet of all the prices that I paid for all my books. And I'm just always amazed by how much they've gone up. And I've only really bought a lot of these major books in the last 2 to 3 years. So just to see them going up so crazy, it's very shocking to me. Okay. Next question is from Comic Book Ninja. And his question is there a situation where you'd be willing to trade a big or huge portion of your collection for a major Golden Age Grail? Say Action 1, Detective 27, Batman 1, Marvel Comics 1, Captain America 1. Well, those are all books I definitely want in my collection. What I've been doing, actually, is I would be willing to make such a trade, but it'd be with books that are kind of my secondary level books, that are maybe ones that I wouldn't really consider ones that I really care about. There's certain books that I really, really love, and then there's ones that they're okay. Good example is those Dead Boy Detectives. I'm curious about the way that that show will go, but I'm not super tied to those books compared to my Phantom Lady. I love this book. I'm so desperate to get this book. Love this book. I would never give this up. So yeah, so there is that element. So I have some books that I'm really, really sentimental about and really, really love, and then other books I'd be willing to part with. But the problem is the ones I'm willing to part with are generally the cheaper ones, so I'm not sure how well I would do on that trade. But I have enough of them at least. I'd say in my collection, I have about 20,000 books. Okay? So it's a huge collection, massive collection. And I would probably be willing to part with about 5,000 of them. And even that 5,000 would have a fair amount of value. Like, even though it's not like the biggest books in my collection, it would still have enough value where, well, I could buy maybe a like a page from Action Comics. I don't know. It wouldn't be like a big trade. Maybe it would be a really bad trade on their part. So still, yeah. I mean, the problem is actually all these books, Action Number One, Detective 27, these are all like easily like six-figure books, and if not seven figures, right? So it's so hard. Like, I'm not sure if they would be even willing to trade even all my collection for those books. It's like kind of sad. But I'm more of a quantity guy than a quality guy sometimes. I just love too many books. And though, that's just a weird trait about me. I'd love to have a really big collection of so many beautiful books. That's kind of the way I like collecting. Okay, so next question is from Ronald Burgess, who asks, do you have any runs of Fantastic Four? Say just the Kirby issues or Spider-Man or Ditko issues. So my run of Fantastic Four is kind of interesting. I like more collecting numbers and keys, right? So what I'll do is I'll buy all the keys from a collection. So on Fantastic Four, if you look at my collection back there, you can see most of my my major Fantastic Four. There are some that I have in my box. I have about 100 issues or maybe 150 issues of Fantastic Four, so pretty big collection. But the ones that I focused on were number one, number two, number three, number four, which is right there, number five, and then some of the keys after that. So I've been sort of focusing on those books. The one that I was really excited about getting just recently was the Fantastic Four number four. I've been actually looking for that book long before Submariner was announced, or like even rumors about him. I was looking for that book because it is his first Silver Age appearance. So I like that book. So I just, that's what I've been collecting. So 1 through 5, that's my run. Like I actually want to get it up all the way up to 20 and have that complete 1 through 20 run. But that's more the way I'm collecting and getting those key issues that appeared later throughout the series. I mean, there's like over 300 books, or maybe, no, sorry, I'm way off on that. I think it's more like 500-600 books in the collection for Fantastic Four. I don't have, as I said, I maybe have 100 to 150 in the entire run of books that I have. So again, I go for those key issues. Okay. The other question, which is kind of similar, is from Mike Sweetenthal. I'm brutalizing somebody's name again. If you watch my videos, I am terrible with names. That's just one of my flaws in life. So yeah. Do you have Fantastic Four 14 yet? And that is actually a really great cover. It's with the Submariner. He's kind of just, you can see the back of him and he's sort of standing ominously on the cover. I do not actually have Fantastic Four number 14. So it's a book that I would consider. Obviously, I want to get the run from 1 to 20. So that would be definitely one I would be interested in getting. Okay. I have one more question, and it's from Collecto 6. And he's a guy that I've been chatting with on Instagram quite frequently. And he asked me about what my two favorite publishers from the Golden Age? And the answer will kind of surprise you. My favorite two publishers. So there's a whole bunch of publishers from the Golden Age. There's like Star, there's Fox, there's Marvel, which is Atlas Timely. Um, there's EC. There's like a whole bunch. So now, if I had to pick two, which are my two favorite, well, I really love the Good Girl art, and I really do love Al Felstein, and I love kind of comics that are a little bit cheesy in terms of like maybe that good girl art to the max level. So Fox Publishing, which is the one that produced Phantom Lady, I've been showing this book a lot in this video, um, definitely is that. It just has all those elements. It has like good girl art, bit over the top in terms of their smuttiness, maybe. Just really interesting comic publisher. The other thing that's interesting, I love the history behind it. So a lot of the books that were from Fox were mentioned in The Seduction of the Innocent. So I kind of like that history element. Also, another interesting quirk about Fox Publishing is they use pink paper. Who uses pink paper? But it was cheaper, so that's why they used it. Because if you bleach paper, it becomes it's actually it's an expensive process. So leaving it pink was cheaper to print on. So that's just some quirky thing about Fox, and I thought I like that little history. So I like Fox would be one of them. Now, the other obviously would be DC. So we got DC, all my DC comics up the top there. Like I have a row of DC comics. Um, you know, they're they're all my favorite characters, right? You got Wonder Woman, you got Superman, you got all these major characters from DC Comics, and obviously I'm going to choose that one as one of my two choices. Marvel, which was Atlas Timely, had some great books. I really do like them, and they probably should be, and probably most people's lists they would be in there. But if you had asked me Silver Age, I would have definitely said Marvel. So I kind of think they kind of really came into their own in the Silver Age more than the Golden Age. Um, the other big publisher that I like would be EC, obviously. They produced a lot of stuff. I'm just looking behind me. But, I showed a bunch of EC books at the beginning of this video. And EC also produced Mad. I was really into Mad as a kid. So, that's another big publisher that I really liked. I love the horror stuff, the from EC. I wish I had more of it, but I just don't have much of it. Um, there's other publishers that are really great, but EC is probably one of the best ones. In terms of horror, they're the ones that people most associate to that age. There's other ones, of course. There's a vast number of them. But yeah, so those would be my two favorite. Would be Fox, which is kind of a weird one, and DC. So I hope that is an interesting answer, or at least you know, probably people will be like, oh, why didn't you mention this publisher or this publisher, like Archie? I mean, that's kind of a major one too. There's some big publishers. And the other one would be Wiz, right? Which is what's it called? Why am I blanking on Wiz? Who produced Wiz? Wiz Comics. So yeah, I'm just blanking on obvious things. so those are the kind of the big ones. What other ones? I'm just trying to think of all the different Golden Age publishers. There's just so many. Like, people don't realize how much the Golden Age we lost when the Comic Code Authority happened. Um, it really, really did kill the publishing industry. It went from like 3,000 publishers. There was that broad of a range of publishers, and they're producing comics in so many genres. And then we went from that to a point where there was only like maybe 300. It's like big amount, very small amount over a period of maybe 2 to 3 years. Like EC Comics, which I was going on about how I love them, um, they went from producing all these wonderful horror books to just really focusing on Mad. You know, they tried a couple things. They tried a couple of these like religious books and stuff like that. Going back to the roots almost, just didn't work. It just the golden age really was golden. It was a beautiful time, and yeah, it's sad that we don't have a lot of that history being brought forward. So that has been my Q&A. I hope I hope I didn't leave it on a sad note there. One other thing I wanted to mention, and this is not really part of the Q&A part, but it's to address what happened yesterday. So yesterday, I released a video all about some of the books that I have in my collection, my bonus books, I guess, my duplicates. Actually, I found a bunch more. I found some Golden Age and some SOTI books that I have duplicates of. But what I wanted to do is tell you some of the things that I'm chasing now, so that if you want to trade with me, you might have something that I need, and maybe you'd be willing to trade. So some of the books that I'm looking out for are Wonder Woman Golden Age. I'm looking for very specific issues. So I'm looking for number 2, number 4, there's like a few issues that I'm looking for. So those are some of the things I'm looking for. There's also the SOTI books. And I have a list of SOTI books that I'm specifically looking for, like Crimes by Women, Terrifying Tales 15. Like there's certain books that I'm really, really chasing after. I only need 30 some odd books left to complete the SOTI collection. So those are ones that I'm really chasing after. There's some more fun books that I'm looking for. Of course, you'd probably get the whole lot of all my dupes for those kind of books, because obviously they're worth way more than my books. Captain Marvel books. I'm looking for Captain Marvel Family, number 1. Marvel Family number 1 it's actually called. So there's certain books that I'm looking for that I'm willing to trade for. Some cheaper books would be like Defenders number 17 and 18, which are the Wrecking Crew. I don't have those books. I've been chasing them and just not having much luck getting them. There's other books that I'm looking for. Zombie Tramp number 3. That's a book that I'm looking for. So there's random books that I am looking for. And if you're interested in trading with me, based on the video that I put out yesterday, what I'm going to do is I'll put my email in the description, or my Instagram. That'll be in the description as well. And you can either Instagram me or email me, and I will give you my want list. And you can say, oh, I have this. And there's a lot of modern books on it, and there's a lot of Golden Age and Silver Age books on it too. But you can kind of go through it and kind of pick some things that may be of similar value to the things that you want from my collection. And I will maybe do a follow-up video where I'll show some more of the books that I've added to that. I've added like a bunch of books. I found like a big stack of books that are all duplicate. So there's a bunch of things that I could easily add that are actually quite major books. They're some pretty valuable books, like the first appearance of Tawny the Tiger from Captain Marvel. That's a good book. It's not a super valuable book, but like, $50 to $100 book. There's some cool things that I have. So Thanks again for watching. This has been a really long video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your questions for me for next week, and I will answer them in the following video. Again, thank you again for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.